Million years ago, in the middle of the Pleistocene, the African continent represented a completely different world. The climate was noticeably more humid and milder than today. Vast savannas alternated with dense gallery forests along numerous rivers. Lakes occupied enormous territories, and the rainy season lasted longer. It was precisely in these favorable conditions that the ancestors of modern giraffes lived. Majestic animals that already possessed the characteristic long neck, but in many ways differed from their modern descendants. Their population was more numerous and more diverse than in our time. Giraffes of that time belonged to the genus Giraffe, whose evolutionary line began about 25 million years ago. By the Pleistocene, they had already gone through a long path of development. Species diversity among giraffes was significantly richer than today. Alongside tall, long-necked giraffes existed their relatives, civethiers, which possessed shorter necks and massive horn-like protrusions. Okapis, forest relatives of giraffes, had already separated into an independent lineage. Paleontological finds show that during that period, at least 5 different species of giraffes inhabited the territory of Africa, each occupying its own ecological niche. Ancient giraffes reached impressive sizes. The height of an adult male could range from 4.5 to 5.2 meters, which is somewhat less than modern record holders. Their necks were long, up to 2 meters, but proportionally shorter than those of present-day giraffes. 7 cervical vertebrae, as in all mammals, were elongated and massive. Coloration varied from light sandy to dark brown, with various spot patterns, which depended on the region of habitation. The hooves were wider and more massive, adapted for movement both on firm savanna soil and on marshy areas. The heart weighed about 11 kilograms and developed the pressure necessary to pump blood to such a height. Pleistocene giraffes inhabited vast territories, stretching from modern East Africa through Central Africa to North Africa. Their range included the territories of present-day Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Sudan, and even reached the Mediterranean coast. They settled diverse landscapes, from dense forests to open savannas, from river valleys to hilly foothills. The humid climate of that period ensured rich vegetation over enormous areas. Giraffes avoided only the densest equatorial jungles and mountain regions above 2,000 meters. The flora of Pleistocene Africa amazed with its diversity. Acacias of various species, from umbrella-shaped to silver, formed the characteristic appearance of the savanna. Mimosas, baobabs, and comophoras created a multi-layered vegetation structure. Foliage was juicy and abundant year-round thanks to regular rains. Shrubs formed dense thickets along the shores of water bodies, and grassy plains stretched between forest massifs. Palm groves marked places with a high groundwater level. This mosaic of ecosystems created an ideal habitat for diverse herbivorous animals, including giraffes. The long neck gave giraffes a unique evolutionary advantage: exclusive access to foliage at heights from 3 to 5 meters, unreachable for most competitors. They specialized in young shoots and flowers of acacias, rich in proteins and nutrients. Their amazing tongue, reaching 45 to 50 centimeters in length, was covered with thick epithelium that protected it from sharp thorns. The lips were mobile and sensitive, allowing careful selection of the most nutritious plant parts. In one day, an adult giraffe ate foliage from 30 to 40 trees, carefully selecting the best branches and avoiding old, tough leaves. Giraffes were active mainly in the morning and evening hours, when the sun was not so scorching. Dawn began with intensive feeding. Animals replenished energy after night rest. They methodically moved around their territory, grazing the tops of trees. Feeding took from 16 to 20 hours per day. In the hot midday, giraffes rested in the shade of acacias, chewing cud. Like all ruminants, they had a 4-chambered stomach. Evening feeding continued until dusk. At night, they dozed standing up in short periods of 5 to 10 minutes, rarely lying down on the ground because of the risk of predator attacks. Searching for water was a daily necessity, although giraffes could go without drinking for several days, obtaining moisture from juicy foliage. In the morning and evening, they gathered at rivers, lakes, and watering holes. The drinking process required a special posture. The giraffe spread its front legs wide and bent its knees, lowering its head to the water. This was a moment of maximum vulnerability. The awkward position hindered quick escape, and predators knew this well. Therefore, giraffes drank quickly, taking several gulps, then raised their heads and looked around. Often they came to watering places in groups, posting sentinels. Giraffes lived in fluid social groups, numbering from 5 to 20 individuals. Unlike many ungulates, they had no strict hierarchy or permanent herd composition. Groups formed spontaneously and broke up depending on circumstances. Females with calves formed nursery groups for joint protection of offspring. Young males united into bachelor groups, where they learned social skills and established dominance relationships through playful duels. Adult males often kept to themselves, joining females only during the mating period. This flexible social system allowed adaptation to changing conditions. The main enemies of giraffes were large predators of the Pleistocene. Saber-toothed cats, reaching the size of modern lions, specialized in large prey. Ancestors of modern lions hunted in prides, attacking young or weakened individuals. Hyena dogs acted in packs of up to 30 individuals, using exhaustion tactics. They chased prey for hours, not allowing it to rest. Giant hyenas, larger than modern ones, could pose a danger to calves. Leopards hunted from ambush, but rarely attacked adult giraffes. Crocodiles lay in wait at watering places, attacking during drinking. Evolution equipped giraffes with several effective defense mechanisms. First of all, speed. They developed up to 50 to 55 kilometers per hour over short distances, galloping in a peculiar pacing gait. Great height allowed them to notice danger from a kilometer away and begin retreat in advance. Powerful kicks with hooves were deadly. One accurate blow could break a lion's skull. Giraffes used group vigilance. While some fed, others watched the surroundings. Calves were hidden in thickets, where their spotted coloration served as camouflage. When attacked, adults formed a protective circle, placing the young in the center. Pleistocene Africa was home to an incredible diversity of megafauna. Alongside giraffes grazed ancestors of modern elephants, large species with straight tusks reaching 4 meters at the shoulder. Ancient rhinoceroses of several species, both black and white, roamed the savannas. Hippopotamuses inhabited numerous water bodies, emerging at night to graze. Diverse antelopes, from small dik-diks to giant elands, filled all ecological niches. Zebras of several species, wild horses, buffalo, and pigs completed the picture. This created a complex ecosystem of interdependent species, where each occupied its own place. Despite the apparent abundance, competition for resources was intense. Elephants posed the main threat to vegetation. They broke branches, knocked down entire trees, dug up roots. A herd of elephants could destroy an acacia grove in a few days, depriving giraffes of their food base. This led to local conflicts when giraffes tried to drive elephants away from favorite trees. However, more often they avoided direct competition, specializing in high foliage. Buffalo and antelopes competed for grassy vegetation, indirectly affecting giraffes through landscape changes. Balance was maintained by migrations and natural vegetation cycles. Although the climate was wetter than today, seasonal changes remained significant. During the dry season, lasting 3 to 4 months, giraffes made migrations up to 300 kilometers long. They moved following the rains, instinctively knowing where vegetation would remain fresh. These journeys required enormous energy expenditure, especially for pregnant females and young. Herds united into larger groups of up to 100 individuals for joint migration. Old individuals who knew the routes led the young. Along the way, rivers were crossed, where crocodiles lay in wait, and open spaces dangerous because of predators. Return began with the first rains, when the savanna turned green. The mating season occurred at the end of the rainy period, when food was most abundant. Males became more aggressive, patrolling territories in search of females in estrus. They checked female readiness through the Fleeman reaction, tasting their urine. When two males met, ritualized duels began, necking. Opponents stood side by side and began striking each other with necks and heads, using horn-like protrusions as weapons. The blows were powerful, audible hundreds of meters away. Duels rarely led to serious injuries. More often, the weaker retreated after several minutes. The winner gained the right to mate with females of the group and expelled the rival. Sometimes temporary alliances formed between mid-rank males against the dominant. After successful mating, a long pregnancy began, lasting about 15 months, one of the longest among ungulates. The female continued her usual life, but became more cautious, avoiding risky situations. Toward the end of pregnancy, she separated from the herd, instinctively seeking a secluded place for birth. An ideal place was considered one in dense shrubs, protected from wind and predator sight, but with the possibility of quick retreat. The female studied the surroundings, memorizing escape routes. Several days before birth, she almost stopped eating, preparing for the important moment. Other females sometimes stayed nearby, forming a protective perimeter. Birth occurred standing, which was a unique feature of giraffes. The calf fell from a height of about 2 meters, and this shock stimulated the first breath and activated circulation. The newborn weighed 50 to 70 kilograms and had a height of about 1.8 meters. The first minutes were critical. The calf had to quickly stand on trembling legs while the mother licked it, stimulating breathing and circulation. After 20 to 30 minutes, the baby took its first unsteady steps. The smell of blood and amniotic fluids attracted predators, so the mother hurried the calf. After an hour, they could already move slowly. The first feeding occurred within 2 hours after birth. The calf found the udder and received vital colostrum, rich in antibodies. The first 2 weeks were the most dangerous. The female kept the calf in shelter, returning to feed it every few hours. The young giraffe spent most of the time lying motionless, relying on camouflage coloration. The mother fed it high-fat milk for up to 9 months. Although already at 1 month, the calf began to try foliage. Mortality among newborns reached 75%. Predators, diseases, and accidents took most. Survivors grew quickly, gaining 2 to 3 centimeters per week. By 3 months, they joined a nursery group, where several mothers jointly watched over the young. This gave females the opportunity to feed, while 1 or 2 stayed with the calves. Young giraffes stayed with their mothers up to 15 to 18 months, gradually gaining experience. They learned to choose edible and nutritious plants, avoiding poisonous and tough ones. Observing adults, calves adopted predator avoidance tactics: how to drink properly at watering holes, where to run in danger, how to recognize alarm signals. Games with peers developed coordination and social skills. Young males already staged playful duels, preparing for future serious tournaments. Females learned to interact within the group, forming long-term bonds. Sexual maturity occurred by 4 to 5 years, but physical maturity only by 7 to 8 years. Young males left their native group, beginning a nomadic life, while females often remained in the maternal herd. For a long time, it was believed that giraffes were mute, but they possessed a developed communication system. The main signals were transmitted via infrasound, with frequencies below 20 Hz, inaudible to the human ear. These low-frequency signals spread over kilometers, allowing coordination of dispersed groups. Visual communication was no less important. Ear position, neck angle, tail movements conveyed information about mood and intentions. A straight raised neck signaled alarm, a lowered one, peacefulness. Olfactory communication helped determine territories and reproductive status through urine marking. Tactile contact, neck rubbing, mutual licking, strengthened social bonds between individuals. Life of ancient giraffes was not carefree. Numerous parasites plagued them daily. Ticks attached to the skin, especially in hard-to-reach places, sucking blood and transmitting infections. Tsetse flies and horseflies bit during grazing, spreading parasitic protozoa. Internal parasites, helminths of various species, affected the digestive system, weakening animals. Oxpecker birds provided a valuable service by cleaning the skin of ectoparasites and pecking insect larvae from wounds. Infectious diseases spread through shared watering places, where animals of different species met. Respiratory infections, especially in the cold season, could be fatal. Limb injuries often led to death, as inability to move quickly made a giraffe easy prey. Toward the end of the period under consideration, about 900,000 years ago, Africa's climate began to change. Moisture cycles became shorter, and dry periods longer and harsher. Lakes became shallower, forests retreated northward and toward the equator. Savannas expanded, becoming more open and dry. These changes put pressure on giraffe populations, forcing them to adapt. Some groups migrated to more favorable regions, following forest vegetation. Others adapted to new conditions, changing feeding habits and behavior. Natural selection favored individuals with longer necks, able to reach foliage on tall trees even during dry periods. This process continued for tens of thousands of years, shaping the appearance of modern giraffes. Giraffes played a key role in Pleistocene ecosystems. By grazing treetops, they stimulated lateral branching, making crowns denser. This created more shade and improved conditions for understory vegetation. Their dung enriched the soil with nitrogen and organic matter, fertilizing the savanna. Seeds of some plants passed through the digestive system and were dispersed over long distances. Trails trampled by herds during migrations became paths for other animals and channels for rainwater runoff. Interaction between giraffes and oxpecker birds created symbiotic relationships. Their presence changed vegetation structure, creating a mosaic of habitats for many species, from insects to small mammals. In the harsh conditions of the wild, few giraffes lived to old age. Average lifespan was 15 to 20 years, although theoretically they could live 25 to 28 years. Most died young from predators. Up to 75% did not survive the first year. Those who reached maturity faced other threats: diseases, injuries, competition for resources. Old individuals became slower, their teeth wore down, complicating feeding. Joint arthritis made movement painful. Vision and hearing declined, increasing the risk of becoming predator prey. Old males often lived alone, spending their final years away from the herd. Their remains were quickly recycled by scavengers, returning nutrients to the ecosystem. Those ancient Pleistocene giraffes laid the genetic and morphological foundation for all modern species. Their adaptations, the unique long neck, powerful legs, complex cardiovascular system, special social behavior, were passed from generation to generation, refined by natural selection. By studying fossil remains, paleontologists reconstruct the history of these majestic animals. DNA analysis from ancient bones shows genetic links between extinct and modern populations. We understand that millions of years of evolution, countless generations of giraffes that survived droughts, predators, and climatic cataclysms, created the unique inhabitants of African savannas we know today. Their story is a story of adaptation, survival, and the triumph of life over adversity, a story that continues even in our days.